Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I have found another very unusual cemetery that I want to go through and show you some of the more unusual monuments that they have here. This is in the east part of West Virginia, in the city of Sheperdstown. So come along with me, let's walk around the cemetery and see what interesting monuments we can find. This is a really interesting story about the history of this cemetery, so I definitely recommend you pause this and read that. And it says the earliest grave is from 1793. And here's an interesting story about the city, so you might want to read that as well. And they even have tour brochures that are pretty thick. I looked at it, that you can take around with you. I find it interesting that some people want a really tall monument, much taller than the others around it in the cemetery. There's a really tall one. There's another one with a statue on top. And here in the Confederate cemetery, they've got two tall ones here. And I think the one in the middle is just a general monument for the veterans. But this is not just for any war. This is for the Civil War. And here's a section for the Methodists. That seems odd. This one on the left looks like it is rusting out. And this one has 4 columns. And that is for the Presbyterian, not cemetery, but graveyard. By the way, the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard. Graveyards are typically right beside churches for their members, whereas cemeteries are pretty much open to anyone. This one has a statue of a little boy on top here. And this one has on top some kind of vessel. There's several here with vessels on top, like this one. It's kind of a tall one, and unusual base mounting on the top there as well as the bottom, which I like better than just a plain straight up monument like this one. Now for this one, they wanted it very rugged, like that, with the vessel on top. And this one with bricks and a big flat covering, it ain't going anywhere. Here's an unusual shaped monument. And here's a nice one too. And you can read the lettering. Now here is a really interesting vault made of bricks, and read this. Has the history of why it's here, and guess what, there's a keyhole. Wonder who has the key and how long it's been since somebody's been in there. This is what the back side of it looks like. Now this must have been somebody really special. Henry Shepherd. And like I said, this is Shepherdsville. So he must be an important person in the history of the city. Here's an unusual one with an arch. And Avis? Wonder who Avis was. This is interesting. This is for the Licklider family. I wonder if they got kidded about that name in high school. There's 2 graves here, and they just have the initials. WPL. And this one says ARL. Don't put the names, just the initials. Interesting. ARL lived from 1862 to 1928. Now this one has a fence around it. What is that going to do? And there's even a gate. Some people put fences around their family plots so no one unrelated to the family can move in. That must be it. And here's a real heavy monument. Got a few here with crosses. And this is interesting. This one has a box, a square box on top. I notice in a lot of cemeteries, people are really bad about not maintaining the monuments, and this stuff builds up on it, making it really difficult to read what it says. You can barely tell that says Sally. I think this is interesting. The family felt that these people just didn't need much of a monument. And look, this is just whatever you call that. No room to put the name or anything there. Here's another memorial to Confederate soldiers. And what is this? Has steps up to a platform here. But what will you use it for? Maybe a funeral service? And what could be going on here? Now this one was placed in 1902, and I bet when they did, there was just a very small tree here, and they had no idea it was going to grow up to be such a big tree. It hasn't hurt the monument, but I have seen some monuments close to trees where the roots of the tree have just completely knocked it down. I think this is interesting. That looks like a pretty recent monument there. The top section of it at least. But look, this says Norman. I think that may be Norman Jr. This says Pansy. And this says Father. And that says Mother. Well folks, I have done several cemetery videos on my channel from around the country when I see really unusual, really old cemeteries. This one not quite as interesting as most of the others that I've done, but it does have some interesting monuments here. Good day folks.